Welcome to Chamber Chat. I'm John Terr, President and CEO of the Boulder Chamber, and I am welcoming our Boulder Chamber business leaders and our business compatriots from around the community to another exciting conversation about business issues and what we're doing here at the Boulder Chamber. And today we're going to have the opportunity to have a conversation about CU athletics and how important it is to our business community and what we can expect this season from our CU athletes. And no better person to tell us about that than our athletic director at the University of Colorado, Rick George. So excited to have a conversation with him.
Me too.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Already ginning up for intense dialogue. But before we get going, just a few announcements from the Boulder Chamber. So first of all, we have our upcoming Business Women's Leadership Group event. It's going to be an in-person gathering to talk about women in the workplace post-COVID-19. And we know that this COVID pandemic has been a particularly difficult, challenging period for women in the workplace. In fact, they've called it a C-session as a consequence, with many impacts on women and their balancing home life and their work obligations. And so we're going to have a conversation about that with some amazing individual business women leaders in our community, including our new city manager, Nuria Rivera Vandermeide, and our CEO of the Community Foundation, Tatiana Hernandez, among other panelists. So it's going to be a very important conversation. That's going to be on August 11th at 8 a.m. Urge you to sign up and register to be there. And then we just announced our Women Who Light the Community honorees for 2021. And it's a spectacular group of women leaders who we're going to honor on September 20th at the Women Who Light the Community Award event. Get ready to celebrate all of those great, wonderful business women leaders on September 20th. And then two other quick announcements. One, very important, we are getting into, as they say, the silly season, the campaign season for City Council. And we're going to have our annual or biannual forum with all of the City Council candidates. And that's going to happen on August 25th at 5 o'clock to 7:30 p.m. at the Jewish Community Center, the JCC. We're going to be putting those candidates to the test with a variety of questions from the Boulder Chamber, as well as many of our partner business support and community organizations. So urge you to be there for that first candidate forum on August 25th. And then finally, relevant to our conversation today, we are getting excited about our 32nd annual Boulder Chamber Colorado Football Kickoff Gala Luncheon, and that's going to be on August 20th. And so we urge you to get registered for that. It's going to be a great time to hear about the football season, what we see coming from Coach Durrell, what does he see happening with the football team and how they're gelling and how they're going to win on the gridiron, but also about our other great CU athletic team. So be there on August 20th. It's going to be a great event. And that gives me an opportunity to turn the questions to my friend and partner here, Rick George, our athletic director at the University of Colorado. And I will start with my first question, which is a reflection back, Rick. And it was just a very challenging time to be a fan in the of CU athletics, but of sports in general, the inability to go and see those events in person. But I wonder, just from your own perspective, how did CU athletics fare during the COVID pandemic season, and what lessons have you taken away from that?
Well, look, I mean, we all know it's a challenging year for everybody, right? Last 16 months have been really difficult for a lot of reasons, for a lot of people. And, for our student athletes in particular, young people that had to learn how to do things a lot differently. How are they going to learn remotely? How are they going to communicate remotely? And I will tell you that our student athletes did an amazing job during this time. We've had our best academic 2 semesters in our history. So they stayed focused on that piece of it. I also credit them with a lot of discipline. We didn't lose but one contest, I think, because of our inability to put a team out there from COVID.
Wow.
The virus has never got into our facility. We're really proud of that. We put great protocols in place to ensure the safety of our student athletes, our staff, and our coaches. And it was a tough year on them, because there was a point where we said we're not going to play any sports.
Yeah.
And we came back and said we are, but there's no families, and no parents, and no fans, and that was difficult on our fans as well.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that we were able to go out there and play, and in football we had a much shortened season, only 6 games, but for us to go to a bowl game in a period like that was really important in Coach Durrell's first year. And then Tad Boyle having the success that he had with the NCAA tournament really did a great job. And it's really difficult when you don't, have the opportunity to play in front of people, and, to keep motivated and to persevere through all those difficult things that they did. And then our women's basketball and all of our teams achieved. Our soccer team went to the NCAA tournament, so we had some success there. We've had great success in our cross country and our track teams, but we also did something that was historic for us. We had 16 of our 17 sports competing in January and February, which we've never had. Typically we break them up in the fall and in the spring, so it put a lot of stress and a lot of difficulty on our staff to be able to manage that. If you think of our trainers that have one sport one semester, another the next, they had them all at the same time, and in our facilities, to have somebody in our facilities pretty much all day from 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. with different contests going on. We had multiple contests every day for our student athletes, but for them to be able to get through that and excel through that says a lot about the kind of young men and women that we have in our program, something that I'm really proud of. And then, as a department, we had layoffs like everybody did. We had furloughs, and those are really difficult decisions. I know all of our business leaders understand that. And how important and how difficult that is, particularly in an environment where it's not like they're going to go out and find another job, because everybody was doing the same things that we were. So that was really challenging. We, with no ticket revenue, with 50% of our conference distribution, our revenues went from 93 million to 47 million. And we operated at a deficit. We kept our expenses in check, but we operated last year at a deficit of $18 million, which I'm not used to, because we balance our budget every year, and we have surpluses in other years, and so that was tough. And we'll pay that back through a loan that we're getting through the conference over the next 7 years through conference distribution. So we'll manage that. But what I'm really doing, and that's last year, but my focus is on what's ahead and what we're doing as a department and what our student athletes are doing. And football's reported, soccer's reported, volleyball reports this weekend, and all of our student athletes will be here with our, we've got our kickoff luncheon on the 20th, which is really kind of signals the start of the year where people get excited about what's going on in our community, and so we're really excited about that. We have our welcome back picnic for our student athletes on the 22nd, and then the 23rd, it's a sprint for the next 9 to 10 months, and we couldn't be more excited about it. And we've had to ramp back up with staffing and getting everybody back, and with 400 plus student athletes coming in and out of our facilities on a daily basis, we still have to provide them with mental health opportunities that we have with the clinical psychologists that we have in our department, and so that's important. We're still providing them food and all the academic and career support, and so we're geared up. We're going to be 100% ready to go, and couldn't be more excited about the prospects for our season in all of our sports.
Well, let's get to that, but first I just want to observe 2 things. One, I've just always been impressed, Rick. I mean, just I'm asking you about the season, and the first thing you talk about is your student athletes who are students first, and just to talk about their academic performance. It's just so impressive to me that you have that as a personal focus, and then on their health during this whole experience, and how proud you are of the fact that you were able to keep COVID out of the locker room. And that's just amazing given how it was circulating in the community and among the student population.
And certainly we had our issues with that. I mean, we did have some student athletes that were positive with COVID, but because of our testing protocols, we never allowed it in our facilities, and that was really important for us because, and I think it showed the commitment that our student athletes had, that they want to play.
Yeah.
And they want to go to school, they want to get their education, and the fact that we achieved at a high level in a time period where they could have lost focus but they persevered through that. And I tell our staff all the time, if you can't be passionate about supporting these young men and women, then this isn't the right place for you, right?
Yeah.
And our student athletes, I mean, they inspire us.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to come in and support them and then see the enthusiasm on their face when they compete,
Mm-hmm.
and they're able to excel at what they want to do, it really just inspires you to come into work every day with a positive attitude and let's make this happen for our student athletes. And when you do that, it's a pretty easy job.
Beautiful. And then the second thing, you are operating a business at the University of Colorado in the athletic department, and that brings to mind for me appreciate the recognition of your I'd say empathy with all the business situation in our community during this COVID experience. And one of the impacts was the fact that we didn't have those surges of business and fans coming into town during those athletic events. That was a challenge for many of our businesses that rely on that income. So that's one critical element of the shot in the arm that athletics gives to our business community. So a question I'd have just for you, when you're speaking about CU athletics, how do you impart on the business community why it's so important to support that?
Well, look, I mean, I empathize with the business leaders in this community because a number of our restaurants and places of business are not back yet, and I know the difficulty in that. I mean, we operated at an $18 million deficit. It's very hard on us because we had to do a lot of things that they had to do, and so I think one of the things that I look at is the value that we provide to this community, because I know that the day that we announced our football schedule for this upcoming season, hotels were upping their rates and their full to capacity, and we know what that's going to mean for our restaurants. And we also know that in a study that was done on campus, there was $43 million from visitor spending, and 70% of that in the CU system, and 70% of that is in CU Boulder. Wow. In this area. So we know that that's important, and we're in process of doing an economic impact study that will be done in the next couple of weeks that's just based on what athletics brings to the community. But if we can bring 50,000 people into this community, some of them are local, but a lot of them are for out of state. It means a lot, not only for the Boulder community, but for Denver and the surrounding counties in our state, with people traveling on airplane and coming in here. And we know how important that is. And what I would say is that I think it's very important for our businesses and also the exposure that we bring to Boulder through all of our football games are on national TV, right? Most of our men's basketball, a lot of our women's basketball, some of our other sports, and to be able to expose the country and the world in some cases, because we're broadcast internationally, is to be able to see Boulder and the beauty and what we have in this community that we all love about this place. I mean, you can see the Flatirons and the quality of life in this community. We're selling that to the nation through sports broadcast. And we think that's important to this community as well. And businesses can support us and have their signage in our stadium or in our arena that's going to provide value for them and an awareness of what we have in this community. So it's a partnership, and we've had this partnership with the Chamber for 32 years, probably 33 if you counted last year, which we don't count, but that's important.
Bringing it back,
that we have that partnership together, because I live in this community, and I supported a lot of businesses in this community, just like you did, by eating and doing different things that we were allowed to do during the pandemic. But we think that what we do at CU provides a lot of value for our community. We need the support of the community for us to be successful, and I think we have a great partnership.
I agree, and it's a message to our business leaders to support CU athletics, recognizing again the just economic impact directly, but as you said and alluded to, the pride that it brings to our our community, the marketing element, but also just lifting our community and being an attractor for employees as an entertainment aspect of it, but just also the visibility. So absolutely a critical component of supporting athletics is understanding the benefit to the business community.
Yeah, and look, we feel strongly about collaboration. We think it's important from an athletic department perspective that we collaborate, and as we are doing a lot of the internship opportunities for our student athletes, a lot of the local businesses have been very generous in providing those opportunities for our young men and women, and our goal is to make them life ready when they leave CU, and to be able to have partnerships. So excuse me, that was fun. I fumbled. But just to be able to partner with different companies in our community has been really valuable for our student athletes, for them to figure out what they want to do with life. And so there's a big collaboration that we have with this community, and we think we're an important part of this community. We want to be an important part, and we want to be part of the solution for us to get better as we move forward as a community. And we've had a tragic event that happened in our community with the King Supers, and that was really difficult on our student athletes as it was in the community. And we take pride in our first responders and the victims' families, and how difficult that's been for everybody. And we share in our successes, and we share sometimes in some of the bad things that happen too. But we love this community, and we're grateful that we're a big part of it.
Yeah, big part of it. And of course there is that pride element, and coming along with pride is wanting to know, well, how do we expect the team to perform this year? And I'm not just talking about football. Football is certainly a seminal sport and the public's visibility, but there's so many other great sports teams from cross country to soccer. So how do you see the teams performing this year?
Look, this is the best group of head coaches that I've had since I've been here. I'm really excited about that. We've got great programmatic needs in place for our student athletes, and so we think we put everything in place for them to, when they get on that field, they can focus on what they're doing out there, because we provided them all these support mechanisms to help them get to where they are. But our expectation is that we win. We want to be talked about on College Game Day on ESPN. We want to be talked about in our basketball programs, both of them, on as part of the national conversation. Our soccer team, our cross country team's elite. Our soccer team every year goes to the NCAA soccer tournament. Our tennis team had one of the best years that they've had in quite some time. Our lacrosse team's always competing for a Pac-12 championship. Our ski program wins national championships. I'm probably forgetting volleyball. I mean, they're doing amazing things. They went to the Sweet 16 2 years ago. So my expectation is that we're in the conversation in all of our sports, and we have to be. We have to be relevant, and that's going to help build our brand as we move forward. And as we build our brand, we bring more national telecast to our venues, and it really exposes our city in a really positive way. And we can tell the story of why this is one of the greatest communities, if not the number one city in the country. And we've seen those, and our venue is considered one of the best in all of college athletics. Our mascot program is one of the best in all of college athletics. So there's so many great things about Boulder that we think through athletics we can bring to life around the country.
Yeah, I love it. All right, well, let's do this. I want to make sure that we see all of you at the August 20 football kickoff event to support Rick and his team. So make sure to get out there, register online today, and we'll see you next time. Oh, first of all, I just want to thank this man for coming to join me today for this Chamber Chat, and we'll see you next time on Chamber Chat.